All right, this is Professor Alex Akwadete, and welcome to another teaching series. This time I'm going to tackle cryptology, but specifically cryptography. This is one of those difficult subjects to teach. Part of the reason being that it involves mathematics. Some people just don't like math. They be like, "Oh wow, why do I have to listen to this?" Right? So we're going to look at cryptology. We'll look at it from the standpoint of, let me get our contents in here. Hopefully you can see my slide deck here. All right, so I'm going to change the way it looks because I want to make sure that you can see it very well and bring it up here. So cryptology, it's actually been in existence for some time. It's not a new subject. It's just that the technology has changed, but the important thing is for you to understand that a lot of things that we do today is made possible by the availability of cryptography. So if I didn't have cryptography, I might not be able to do a lot of technical things that I want to do. So I did the same presentation, I think last year to Project Management Institute in Dubai, UAE. So some of the contents are from there, and then also I have the ones from Cengage. That's our normal information. So here, I want to look at some discovery, history, principles. I'm going to try and slow down because it's a little technical, and also it's going to have to end up being a long video. I could have split up into just normal cryptology, cryptography, and then talk about symmetric and asymmetric key, but you please bear with me because some people even get confused as you go along with it. So the history of cryptology, it's been going around for a long time. It didn't just originate in the Roman Empire. They had it in African empires and other parts of the world, right? Of course, there was a time in which there was a restriction on the export of crypto systems sometime around World War II because they realized the importance. So cryptology is divided into two sections. You got the cryptography and then the crypto analysis. All right. So this is the German Enigma machine that was used during World War. Of course, it was cracked by the Allied forces, right? So let's look at the branch of cryptography here. So I said cryptology is the science that encompasses the two of them. Cryptography basically is making and using codes to secure information, whereas cryptanalysis is the reverse, trying to obtain plain text messages from a cipher message without really knowing the keys, right? So the cryptography itself is divided up into two sections. In here, you will see symmetric and asymmetric, and you also see what's called hash functions. And that's symmetric, you have block cipher, stream cipher. Some terminologies here: algorithm, which just means the formula, bit stream, block cipher, crypto system, work factor, steganography. I will cover some of these, but the ones I don't cover, you can always try and see if you can find it or let me know, right? So encryption, I take a plain text and I encrypt it either through what's called a bit stream, which means each bits, remember, is zeros and one, or block. I divide into blocks, usually sets of 8, like 8 bits is a byte, so I can do byte at a time. I will now transform it into encrypted blocks that you cannot read without having the key, right? So this has substitution cipher, which just exchanges one value for another. You have the different types. You got the monoalphabetic, the polyalphabetic, and the linear. So for the mono one, I only use one single alphabet in the encryption process, and then poly obviously means multiple, right? System, this would be an example of a linear square here to use. It's a very good exercise that you can practice, but I'm not going to spend the time on this one, but just know it's a way, right? And then you have transposition cipher. Another word is permutation cipher. I just rearrange the values in the block based on some obviously agreed pre-established pattern, right? So the keys and block size can be increased to 128 bits. So exclusive or XOR function, this is like a math thing here. So all you need to know about the XOR is if 2 bits are identical, the result is the binary 0. If they are not identical, the result is the binary 1. If it's 0 or 1, then I get you 1. All right, it's very simple to implement. And of course, that means it's very simple to break. This is like an XOR table. You see like first 0, second 0, result is 0, 0, 1, I get 1. A simple approach, right? For XOR. And there's one Venom cipher used by AT&T. They used to call it a one-time pad. There's just another method. And then you have called book-based cipher. And then hash function. So we're going to talk a little, I'll show you a brief demo or in another video. Hash is called a message digest. We use it for integrity, on the CIA triad. So I hash a message or hash a file. If you download something from GitHub or from the internet, like you download like Kali, you have the file and you have a hash. So what you do is you take that file, you hash it, and you compare it to the hash that was supplied by the sender. If it matches, then you know that the file has not been tampered with, right? Of course, the biggest use of hash today is for password. If you want a little more, please watch my video on password, salting and peppering. All right. So these are some values you can get from hash. You have different one, MD5, SHA-1. We use that a lot in forensics, but it's not really recommended otherwise because it's been what's called deprecated or compromised. So hashing, you have something called, if you hash something and 2 separate things that you hash, they will give you separate value. They give you the same value, then it's a collision. That means it's not a trustworthy hashing algorithm. There's the tools on here that you can use to look at the hashing demo because I'm trying to keep this video short. Just go there, put in a text and you can hash it. Or you can have hashcalc online. So hashing does not use keys, right? What you get is called a message digest, right? And hashing is one way. You cannot reverse it. So cryptography has the algorithms, right? The symmetric and asymmetric. Let's talk about the two. Symmetric uses one key, like your Wi-Fi password. You hear the word shared secret, right? We both have the same key. Use the encrypt and use it to decrypt. That'd be an example of that, right? You want to send something to somebody by courier. The different one, I have the DES, triple DES, AES. That's one that's recommended by US government, and that's what you want to use on your Wi-Fi anyway. AES 256 encryption. Now, on the other hand, asymmetric uses 2 keys, private and public key. So if you use a private key to encrypt, you're going to use the matching public key to decrypt. Let me say again. If you encrypt something with a public key, you're going to decrypt with private key on the other side. Same and reverse. It's just that when you encrypt your private key, we call it signing. So I use the private key. You use my public key on the other end to decrypt it, right? Encrypting with your private key, let me use the word sender and receiver. So in cybersecurity, we use Alice and Bob a lot in our description. So if Bob encrypts something with Alice's public key, then Alice on the other end could decrypt it with her private key. That is meant to ensure confidentiality. So because since she alone has the private key, only she can open it, right? On the other hand, if Bob signed a message with his private key, when Alice gets it on the other side, or anybody that gets it on the other side that has the public key of Bob can decrypt it. That ensures what's called a non-repudiation because we know that it came from Bob since he alone has the key, right? So that's what that term is talking about, right? Key size is very important. Look at this power. If I have a key length of 16, see how much average time to crack it is 0.0 0.0056. But if I have 64, it takes 182.35 days. Now, I know somebody might ask, what about quantum computing with qubits? Not everybody has access to quantum computing, but obviously the fear is that eventually quantum computing can make a lot of this encryption obsolete, but we don't have to worry about that now, right? Unless you work for IBM or another company that has this, but we know that for now, most of these non-deprecated encryption algorithms are okay. Just showing you like power of 256, see what it take you, the number of years to crack that. And if you go to 512, it's even longer. Right? So now we have what's called PKI, public key infrastructure. Again, the whole idea is to allow you to have authentication, integrity, and non-repudiation. This is part of the using symmetric keys, right? This enables us to have what's called a digital certificate and digital signature. Digital certificates are done by, a digital certificate is basically your public key signed by a certificate authority, right? Non-repudiation question. It means that I can hold me accountable for transactions and online purchases. I cannot deny that I did the transaction, right? So this is reversing public key encryption to verify the message was sent by the user and therefore it cannot be refuted or denied, right? So now this is tied to digital signature. Basically, what you normally do with a digital signature, I take my private key, I sign, I also hash a portion of the message, I send it to you. When you get it on the other side, you take my public key, decrypt the message, you also check the hash, you verify, you hash the message, and if the hash matches my own hash, you know that it's not been tampered with, right? So NIST has what's called a DSS standard for digital signatures. I think I will create a separate video on digital certificate compared to digital signature to make it shorter, right? All right, so this is an example of a digital certificate here. If you're going to use something on your website, check the digital certificate, you see a padlock, you just click on it. If I have time, I'll just show you quickly something. X509 is a structure for the certificate, call it the standard for digital certificates, right? All right, I'm going to use NAS for my demo. So you have hybrid crypto systems combining the two. Now let's talk about steganography, which is hiding something inside something. Like I have a picture of Mona Lisa, I can hide another file inside. Or what we use a lot is deep sound. Take deep sound, I can hide a file inside deep sound. And then when you get the music, you see the MP3 playing the regular music, but inside the music is hidden a file. So that would be something that you can download and practice. It's open source for you, right? All right, so this is just protocol for secure communication, SSL, secure socket layer, replaced by TLS, right? I'm not going to spend too much time on this. For now, I'll do a separate video on some of this. But here on Wi-Fi, just know you already have WPA3. You should never use anything with WEP, right? Or even WPA, because it's easy to crack that with some little known, less skills, right? So Netscape is the one that actually developed the SSL to ensure secure communication over the internet. For email, they have what's called SMIME. That's what you need to know on here. And of course, the set was developed by MasterCard and Visa, uses DES. So a good exam question on what you should really know in cybersecurity is that if you accept debit cards or credit card, you're going to be governed with PCI DSS, which is the payment card industry data security standard. It's like a compliance standard. It's not a law, but every entity that takes a credit card. So it's something that is good to know. You can actually even specialize in auditing the compliance, right? You know what I mentioned already about wireless communication, don't use WEP. So wireless are covered by 802.11 and network protocol. If you take Network Plus, you know some of the standards. 802.11a, 802.11ac, NBG. The thing you need to, let me go back here. The thing you need to know is that there are the frequencies like 2.4 and 5, which ones allowed 2. So in the networking class, you learn that like 2.4 is susceptible to interference. But for now, just know that it's 802.11 standard, right? All right, and then IPsec goes with VPN. I think I covered that in another video. But it's an open source protocol for secure communication with VPN and stuff, right? This is how an IPsec looks like. You got an IPsec authenticator header and an encapsulation header. So I put in here data encryption just to make sure I mentioned to you that since we're talking about encryption, that data has 3 states: data at rest, data that is in transit, and data is being processed. So data at rest is like stored on your hard drive. It must be encrypted. Data that is being transmitted, like that's why you use VPN and other secure protocols, right? And data that is being processed, being manipulated. Now we have what's called homomorphic encryption. Just know that data needs to be encrypted, right? All right, so here, knowledge check. Dash is a digital certificate, an electronic document or file that contains the key value, identifying information about the entity that controls the key. All right. So in summary, encryption is part of cryptology, and cryptology, I guess you say, includes cryptography and cryptanalysis. It's been around for a long time, right? It gives you an example. See, there's some additional resources I put on here, but let me just show you quickly. This is some videos. This is a good video on Cryptography 101, and then what is cryptography for you to watch. Again, like this video, but let me just show you a demo before I close here quickly. Let me stop sharing this screen. And I said I used nasa.gov as an example. So let's look at nasa.gov. Sharing my screen, I want to go to nasa.gov, US government website. So nasa.gov. I want to see the, so now you see a Chrome updated a little. So it tells me that connection is secure, right? So yes, connection is secure, but I want to check the things, right? I go over here and I click, say certificate is valid. If I click this in here, it gives me options. If I go here, I know that this certificate was issued. Let's go down here a minute. I see go to details. I go certificate, it tells me the version of the certificate, version 3. Every certificate has a serial number. It tells me the algorithm. In this case, it was SHA-256. If I go all the way on the top to see the hierarchy, I will see that it was issued by automatic.com. I can go back here to become the general. As the scroll down, it tells me it was issued on Wednesday, October the 4th. And it's valid for about another to January, but it can be renewed, obviously. You can check the revocation of a certificate by checking the certificate revocation list, or just simply online. There's an online list, okay? So let's look at, I mentioned to you about hashing quickly. How to compute hashes online. Let's look for hash calculator online. Google search, go to one of these one I always use, generate hash. I can simply come over here. I want to just say, I love you. And I come over here and say, calculate the hash. See the hash values here. But if I just put the one, I love you too, it's going to change, give me a different value of hash. A different hash value than the previous one. Same thing, you can do this with files. There are other many tools that enables you to do that. I'm just showing you a few. But just understand that cryptography is a very important technology for our own benefit. We didn't go through, if you're looking at the one of the textbooks I used to use to teach this topic was the ISC square minor. It goes through a lot of the algorithms, or if you want to dig a little deeper, there's this particular gentleman that did his PhD in, I think, cryptography. He goes, just check him online, I can't remember his name, but there's a lot of resources out there for you to gain a better understanding of cryptography or cryptology in general. But just know, in summary, Symmetric key is one key called shared secret. Asymmetric key is two keys, public-private key. When I use one key to encrypt, I'm going to use the matching key to decrypt. And hashing is the one way, it's not reversible. And we use it a lot for not just checking integrity of files, but also for password today. So again, thank you for listening and have